Gallagher was born on March 2nd, 1948, in Ballyshannon, Ireland, but grew up in the city of Cork. Young Rory was exposed to a diverse range of musical styles from an early age, listening to his father's jazz and swing records, as well as blues and rock and roll sounds that were emerging from America. Rory began playing a plastic flute at the age of 5 and later progressed to his father's old acoustic guitar.
Whiskey make you drowsy, gin can make you think. The common cold could kill you, but a woman turned me to drink. I went down on 31st Street, pick up a jug of alcohol.
He received some basic guitar lessons, but was largely self-taught, developing his own style by ear. By the age of 9, he was already performing publicly, playing at local dances and parties with his father's band during their intermission. In his early teens, Gallagher became captivated by the electric blues of artists like Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, and Elmore James. He was also influenced by rock and roll's early pioneers such as Chuck Berry and Buddy Holly, as well as the more contemporary sounds of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. In 1963, at the age of 15, Gallagher formed his first electric band, the Impact Show Band, which played a mix of pop, rock, and soul covers. The band proved to be popular in the Cork area, and it provided Gallagher with a platform to develop his stage presence and performance skills. In 1966, at the age of 18, Gallagher formed the band that would launch his career, Taste. The original lineup included Gallagher on guitar and vocals, Eric Kitteringham on bass, and Norman Damery on drums. The power trio format would become a signature of Gallagher's career, allowing him to showcase his guitar playing and vocals at the forefront.
I'm sitting on the double on a windy bay.
Taste began playing regularly in Cork, building a strong live reputation. Their energetic performances and Gallagher's impressive guitar work soon attracted attention, leading to support slots with visiting American blues artists such as Sonny Boy Williamson and T-Bone Walker. In 1968, Taste underwent a lineup change, with Richard Charlie McCracken replacing Kitteringham on bass and John Wilson taking over for Damery on the drums. This new lineup signed with Polydor Records and released their debut album Taste in 1969. The album showcased Gallagher's blues rock prowess and included original songs alongside interpretations of traditional blues songs. Taste quickly gained a reputation as a formidable live act, and they performed extensively across Europe, supporting acts such as Cream and Fleetwood Mac. In 1969, they played at the legendary Isle of Wight Festival, sharing the bill with acts like The Who and Bob Dylan. The same year, they also performed at the Denver Pop Festival and the famous Woodstock Festival, where their sets were well received, helping to establish Gallagher's reputation in the US. In 1970, Taste released their second album, On the Boards, which continued to showcase Gallagher's evolving songwriting and guitar playing. The album included the popular track What's Going On, which became a staple of Gallagher's live sets for years to come. Despite their growing success, however, Taste disbanded later that year due to differences in opinion regarding their musical direction. Their final performance was at the Isle of Wight Festival in August 1970, where they played to an audience of over 200,000 people. Following the breakup of Taste, Gallagher embarked on a solo career, signing with Chrysalis Records. He put together a new power trio consisting of himself on guitar and vocals, Jerry McAvoy on bass, and Wilger Campbell on drums. This lineup would become known as the Rory Gallagher Band. Gallagher's self-titled debut, Rory Gallagher, was released in 1971 and featured a mix of original songs and blues covers. The album included the popular track Laundromat, which has become a fan favorite and staple of Gallagher's live sets. In 1972, Gallagher released his second solo album, Deuce. This album continued to build on Gallagher's blues rock foundation while also incorporating elements of jazz, folk, and country. It included the track Crest of a Wave, which has become one of Gallagher's most enduring songs. To support the album, Gallagher embarked on extensive touring, including his first headline tour of the US. During this period, Gallagher also began experimenting with different instruments, including the mandolin and saxophone, which he incorporated into his live performances. He was known for his energetic and passionate stage presence, often playing with unmatched intensity and emotion. Gallagher's live shows were renowned for their length, with the guitarist often playing multiple encores to satisfy his devoted fans. In 1973, Gallagher released his third solo album, Blueprint. This album showcased a more refined and polished sound. with a strong focus on Gallagher's songwriting. It included the popular tracks Walk on Hot Coals and Hands Off. Around this time, drummer Rod Diath and keyboard player Lou Martin joined the band, expanding the trio to a five-piece. This lineup would remain stable for the next few years, becoming known as one of the tightest and most dynamic bands on the live circuit. The mid-1970s saw Gallagher achieve his greatest commercial success and establish him as a leading figure in blues rock. In 1974, he released the album Irish Tour 74, which captured the energy and excitement of his live performances in Ireland. The album featured powerful renditions of tracks like Cradle Rock and Tattooed Lady, as well as a cover of As the Crow Flies by Tony Joe White. A documentary film of the same name, directed by Tony Palmer, accompanied the album, providing a unique insight into Gallagher's life on the road. In 1975, Gallagher released the album Against the Grain, which featured a much harder-edged sound and showcased his evolving musical style. The album included the popular track Million Miles Away, which has become a fan favorite. Gallagher's relentless touring schedule continued, with the guitarist playing packed venues across Europe and North America. The following year, 1976, saw the release of Calling Card, an album that many fans and critics considered to be one of Gallagher's finest works. It was produced by Roger Glover of Deep Purple fame and featured a more polished and refined sound. The album included the powerful track Moonchild, as well as the soulful I'll Remember, showcasing Gallagher's versatility as a songwriter. During this period, Gallagher also made notable television appearances, including a performance on the German music program Rockblast in 1976, which was broadcast across Europe and helped to expand his fan base on the continent. Gallagher's popularity in Europe, particularly in countries like Germany, France, and Netherlands, remained strong throughout his career. In 1978, Gallagher switched labels, signing with Chrysalis Records' sister label MCA Records. He released the album Photo Finish in 1978, followed by Top Priority in 1979. These albums continued to showcase Gallagher's distinctive guitar playing and songwriting, with Top Priority including the popular track Follow Me, which became a live favorite. Gallagher's touring schedule remained relentless, and he continued to play to sold-out venues worldwide. The early 1980s saw Gallagher take a slight stylistic shift in his music, incorporating more folk and traditional Irish influences. In 1980, he released the album Stage Struck, which was recorded live in Europe and featured a mix of old favorites and new material. The album included a version of the traditional Irish song Amazing Grace, which Gallagher performed on the mandolin, showcasing his versatility as a musician. In 1982, Gallagher released the album Jinx, which continued to explore folk and Celtic influences while incorporating elements of jazz and world music as well. The album featured guest appearances from prominent Irish musicians, including Uilleann piper Paddy Keenan and fiddler Tommy Peoples. This album included the popular track Big Guns, which also became a live staple. During this period, Gallagher also began to experiment with different guitar tunings, drawing inspiration from Celtic music and adding a new dimension to his playing. He continued to tour extensively, playing to devoted fans around the world. Gallagher was known for his accessibility to his fans, often staying after shows to sign autographs and chat with audience members. His legendary 1961 Strat has a fascinating history, starting with its purchase by Rory in 1963 for £100 on credit from Michael Crowley, owner of Crowley's Music Store in Cork. This was, supposedly, the first Stratocaster to actually grace Irish shores. The guitar previously belonged to Jim Conlon, founder and guitarist of the Irish band Royal Show Band. Conlon had ordered a red Stratocaster from the US but received the Sunburst model instead. He used it until his preferred guitar arrived, after which the Sunburst Strat was put up for sale at Crowley's store. And there it caught Rory's eye, and he arranged to buy it in installments. One notable modification was the replacement of the original pickups in the early to mid-70s due to moisture damage. Rory's perspiration during performances contributed to the absorption of moisture into a guitar's body over the years. The saga of the pickups continues with speculation about the type of pickup that was installed in the bridge position. It may have been a Fender Lead 2 X1 pickup or one taken from Rory's 1979 anniversary Strat. However, the exact nature of this pickup still remains a mystery. The neck of the Stratocaster also underwent changes. Sometime in the mid to late 1970s, the original neck was removed due to moisture issues and replaced temporarily with a replacement neck. After spending time drawing in a warm room and dry room, the original neck was reinstalled, as Rory preferred its feel. This swap occurred again in late 1979, with a veneer fretboard neck taking the place of the original until August of '82. Rory also made adjustments to the frets, nut, tuners, and string tree on the headstock. He replaced the original Kluson tuners with Schallers and later switched to Spurzels, with the exception of one Gotoh tuner. Additionally, he modified the electronics by rewiring the tone controls and installing a 5-way selector switch. The extensive wear on the guitar is notable, even when compared to similar models played by renowned guitar players. This wear dates back to the mid to late 1960s and may have been intensified by an incident in 1966 when the guitar was stolen and then recovered from a rainy ditch, battered and beaten. Gallagher's amp choices lean towards the tonal warmth and dynamic response. He favored Fender amps, particularly the Bassman, for their clean headroom and ability to break up beautifully when pushed. He often used a combination of amps, blending the clean and dirty tone for a more wider sonic palette on some of his tracks. Later in his career, he experimented with the Vox AC30 amps, drawn to the chime and distinctive top end, and he also used smaller amps like the Fender Champ for recording and smaller gigs. These smaller amps actually were, of course, portable, but then they also had a lot of raw character to them as well. Now, when it came to effects, Rory Gallagher's approach was minimalist, but definitely effective. He definitely favored a few key pedals that were actually integral to his sound. He is the Dallas Rangemaster treble booster for adding grit and sustain and the mid-range boost to his solos, and also as well as pushing his amps into full overdrive. I mean, when you think about the Fender Bassman, if you smack that front end with a lot of dB, you know you're going to get a pretty darn sweet breakup. Rory Gallagher also used the Vox wah expressively, creating vocal-like effects and adding a dynamic tonal sweep to the solos. And his favorite was the Vox Clyde McCoy wah for its throaty growl and very smooth response. He also used the Boss Flanger BF2 a lot for adding that swirling psychedelic texture to the sound, particularly in songs like Philophobia. He used it sparingly but effectively, adding yet another dimension to the sonic palette. And for those of you that don't know, the flanger was actually born from the sound of somebody who would take their hand and put it against a reel-to-reel tape and start pushing down against the reel, back and forth. So by doing that, you would get a similar effect to what like a phase shifter pedal would be, but definitely much more pronounced, almost like a jet whooshing effect. Rory Gallagher's studio approach also mirrored his live setup. It was very straightforward and focused on capturing the raw energy of his performance. He preferred recording live with his band in order to get the immediacy of a live performance in the studio setting. He was definitely all about the vibe. Rory used minimal overdubs, making sure to keep the focus on the core sound of the guitar, bass, and the drums. Rory also favored analog recording equipment for its warmth and character, often using tape machines and vintage mics in order to capture the nuances of his playing. All in all, his production style was uncluttered and honest, letting the music speak for itself without any excessive studio trickery. In 1984, Gallagher released the album Defender, which marked a return to a more traditional blues rock sound. The album included the powerful track Kickback City, as well as a cover of Leadbelly's Outskirts of Town. Around this time, Gallagher also contributed to a variety of projects, including playing on a tribute album for his idol Muddy Waters, titled Blues Alive, and collaborating with blues legends such as Albert King, as well as Muddy Waters himself. Unfortunately, the mid-1980s marked a challenging period in Gallagher's life due to health issues. He underwent surgery for digestive problems in 1985, which resulted in extended periods of recuperation and forced him to take a step back from his relentless touring schedule. During this time, he also experienced issues with his record label, which delayed the release of new music. In 1990, Gallagher underwent a liver transplant, which was a major procedure that required a lengthy recovery period. These health issues, combined with ongoing label disputes, resulted in a prolonged hiatus from recording and performing. Despite these challenges, Gallagher remained dedicated to his music, and his passion for playing and performing never wavered. In the early 90s, Rory Gallagher bravely faced health challenges and emerged with a renewed vigor for his music. The release of Fresh Evidence in 1992 signaled a triumphant return to form, with the album's heartfelt tracks such as Ghost Blues served as the testament for his enduring love for the blues and unwavering dedication. During this period, Gallagher's live performances took on a new level of intensity and passion. He embarked on extensive tours, including a highly successful US tour in '94, where he played to sold-out venues and captivated audiences. Despite facing health issues, Gallagher's playing remained dynamic and energetic throughout. Sadly, Gallagher's health issues would continue to plague him. In 1995, at the age of 47, Rory Gallagher passed away due to complications following a liver transplant. His untimely death shocked the music world and left a profound sense of loss among his fans and fellow musicians. Gallagher's music has influenced countless guitar players and musicians, including famous names such as Brian May of Queen, Johnny Marr of the Smiths, and The Edge of U2.
He was just a magician as far as we were concerned, as an entertainer. And funnily enough, he probably wouldn't think of himself as an entertainer. He's such a pure man, Rory.
Rory's playing style was characterized by a number of distinctive elements that contributed to his unique sound. He was known for his powerful and dynamic approach to the guitar, often playing with unmatched intensity and emotion. Gallagher was a master of tone, achieving his signature sound through a combination of guitar choice, amp selection, as well as effects pedals. Through his powerful performances, distinctive style, and deep commitment to the blues, Gallagher definitely left an indelible mark on popular music. So if you like what you see here, make sure to go ahead and smack that like button. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe button. And I just want to thank you so much for watching.